As many may already know, a homeless man by the name of Jordan Neely recently died in the subway in New York City when a passenger on the train held him in a chokehold for an extended period of time. And just across the country, a few days prior, another man, a trans man, so I guess biologically they're female, Banko Brown, was killed by an armed security guard at a Walgreens in San Francisco. Now, the way these two unfortunate situations juxtapose themselves is how the media is choosing to cover each story. Each person that died are painted as victims, as opposed to being perpetrators whose behavior most likely caused their demise. And I repeat, most likely, because it's still early in the litigation of each case. But how the media is painting these individuals as victims basically just gives credence to the mob of race agitators and LGBTQ agitators, to advocate through protesting. As each case supports the liberal media's narrative, where the person that killed Jordan Neely is white, so they have the race angle right there.
Black Lives Matter protesters flooding the streets and the subway station here at Broadway and Lafayette, calling for justice for Jordan Neely. After the 30-year-old was choked on an F train, dying a short time later, Neely reportedly asking for food and water on the subway Monday afternoon, but also saying he was ready to die. The man who placed him in a chokehold on the floor of the subway car, reportedly a 24-year-old former U.S. Marine who was taken in for questioning. Police sources telling us that Neely has more than 40 prior arrests. That suspect was released and was acting erratically on board the train. But protesters say no one, and that is no reason to kill someone who just clearly needed help.
So that's Black Lives Matter doing BLM type protesting, typical type stuff. So now let's look at what Trans Lives Matter or TLM do their type of protesting. As a person that killed Banko Brown, I assume is black. They didn't show his face, but since they're not showing his face, I assume he's also heterosexual, or as a new term these liberals use, cisgender. So with that story, there's no race angle, but they had the whole trans lives being undervalued angle. Now I must warn you, if you have sensitive ears to sound or noise, be prepared right here.
Okay, my name is Leah McGeever. I live in D6. I hate a lot of people on this board for the reasons that led up to Banko Brown's death. So often I prepare something, maybe it's a little historical, maybe a little poetic, whatever. There's a lot of performative people on this board who will say one thing in support of black people, homeless people, trans people, and then immediately stab you in the face, being racist, transphobic, anti-homeless. So I don't have any words prepared today. I just want you to feel our pain. I don't know if you can at this point based off your policy choices, but I have to pretend you have some form of empathy left. So I am going to spend the next minute screaming, because that is what is going on in here. That is what the trans genocide in this country, in this city, has brought me to. Imagine that! I hate this! I hate what you've done to us! I hate what you're doing to us! I hate you, Board of Supervisors! I hate you, London Breed! I hate you, Jenkins!
Hold D.A. Jenkins accountable! Hold him
Amen!
Jenkins accountable!
Cowards!
He needs to suffer solitary confinement with that security guard. Y'all have these armed guards. He's walking free. Y'all have a man
Next
walking
speaker,
free in
please.
the city. He's walking free for killing somebody.
Wow. That's why I keep saying here, you have to stand your ground and give these people the help they so desperately need. It's causing a serious contagion in our society. I mean, this lady screaming, she isn't screaming for Banko Brown. She's screaming for the destitution her spirit is most likely in. Most likely is in that destitution because she's been through something traumatic that has not been resolved, leading her to embrace this culture of victimization and oppression. And no matter what these liberal politicians do, they'll hate you. Like she said, I hate you, London Breed, the Democratic mayor of San Francisco. I hate you, Jenkins, the Democratic district attorney in San Francisco. And that DA was just doing what she's supposed to do and what she has to do, which is uphold the law. Same thing I hope they do over there in New York, because it's the media that so desperately that wants to spread these unfortunate incidents in order to advance their narrative. I mean, why don't the law enforcement in San Francisco release the footage of the altercation with Banko Brown? I mean, they have it on video. I'm sure we both know why. Because it will show that Banko Brown threatened the security guard with a knife. That's why they can't press charges against the security guard, even though the DA so desperately would like to.
There was physical violence that was used in order to proceed with taking the property, as well as threats of extreme violence.
The DA said pursuing murder charges against the guard would be unethical and create false hope for a successful prosecution.
In this situation, we had a shoplifting incident that really escalated into an altercation that under the law qualifies as a robbery. It's never easy to have to come to a conclusion that you can't provide the form of justice that a family wants in these types of cases. It's something that we take very seriously. And this was a very tough situation and a tough conclusion to arrive at. But I have an obligation to make sure that we only charge people that we truly believe legally we can prove their guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. And I have to let that standard govern every decision that I make, even when my heart pours out for a family.
Yo, you heard this lady? She's a district attorney of a major city, and she's talking about providing justice for what a family wants. If the security guard was convicted, then that wouldn't be justice. That would be criminal. Justice is providing what is right based upon the facts of the case that is congruent with the law of the land, not based upon what a family wants. And that's the thing. The DA wasn't referring to a family, but to a community that she's afraid of in her city. This community right here.
My pronouns are she, her, they, them. Black Lives Matter, defund the police, disarm security. I find it sick that Brooke Jenkins refuses to charge a security guard who murdered one of my fellow trans people, Banko Brown, a black trans man. I know plenty of my white girlfriends who actually shoplift and they don't get killed. Brooke Jenkins don't care about black or trans people. Glenn Greed don't care about black and or trans people. We need real solutions instead of bullshit thoughts and prayers. The city needs to ban security guards from having guns, but most importantly, we demand housing, we demand healthcare, we demand reparations for the black community. Frankly, I don't care if this extrajudicial killing leads to riots, fires, looting, and graffiti. A life was lost, and lives are more important than property. You all have blood on your hands. I yield my time. You!
And a very similar thing is happening in New York, where they're painting Mr. Neely as a sympathetic figure, by showing his various Michael Jackson impersonations and focus on the fact that, he was homeless and he had mental issues, which are both unfortunate situations. But those are things that they don't want to even address there in New York. Because when Andrew Yang ran for mayor last year, he addressed the issue of getting people with mental illness off the streets and into a mental hospital. And the other candidates, including the person who won, Eric Adams, they condemned Yang for these comments. I mean, they were saying stuff like it was disturbing and highly insensitive. I mean, come on. I'm at a point where I'm going to stop saying that these politicians are hypocrites. I'm just going to say that this is what they want. They just can't verbalize it publicly. Unless you're the DA of San Francisco, who low key, kind of stated what they really want. I just say, look, just don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe with this liberal media. Especially as black folks, man. We got to stop doing this. We got to apply things more logically than emotionally. I mean, think about it. There was an incident just about, I think like 2 or 3 months ago, where a black homeless man killed a white man in broad daylight. Where was the outrage?
Yeah, there it goes. No, he just put a magazine in and he's still trying to load it. Oh my God, he just fucking killed him. He just fucking killed him.
Now, obviously, I can't show the last part of that video. You can look it up yourself. But once again, where was the outrage? But of course, it doesn't fit the narrative. So there is none. I mean, these two situations just continue to prove how unaccountable our culture is and how our media will deceive us, to just keep us in a malaise of oppression and victimization, where we focus on our emotions as opposed to the reality of the situation and uphold the laws of the land. Now, in the Jordan Neely case, it's still early, so maybe he was the victim and the Marine went overboard. We shall see. But if people are going to virtue signal, let's use a very important virtue first: patience.